Hello again, my truth sleuths and horror hounds. We have returned once again to dive further into the Cryptid Iceberg to further explore the unknown. Just like last time, I will be separating these cryptids into different categories to better knock them all out. And just like last time, I will not speak of any cryptids that in doing so would show disrespect to the culture from which they originate. With all that said, let's dive right into the first category. The first category of level 2 is filled to the brim with creatures of unnatural size, or giants. The first giant we will speak about is the 50-foot Congo snake. Hey, I know what you're thinking about, but you need to get back up on the curb with the rest of us, alright? Okay. The first and only sighting of this beast was made by Belgian Air Force Colonel Remy van Leerde while returning to Camina Air Base via helicopter in 1959. The colonel described it as being a 50-foot long snake with a 2-by-3-foot wide triangular head, dark green and black top scales, and a white colored underbelly. It is believed to either be a descendant of Gigantophis, a giant Eocene snake, or an oversized African rock python. We jump to the Atacama Desert of Chile with our next giant, the Arica monster. The Arica monster is described as a 6-foot-tall, dino-like bird initially seen in 1980 about 2,000 kilometers north of Santiago, Chile. Some believe the monster is a living drama llama ding-dong or a feathered dinosaur that lived during the Cretaceous period. Staying in South America, our next cryptid is the giant anaconda of the Amazon. The most famous sighting of this beast was reported by British explorer Perry Fawcett, who claimed to have killed one that was 62 feet long. Most believe this and other sightings to be exaggerated. Back to Africa and the Congo we go for the Kasai Rex, a massive theropod dinosaur. The Kasai Rex has had reported sightings as far back as 1932, with a sighting by Swedish hunter John Johnson or Johansson while tracking 2 elephants. Though widely believed to be a T-Rex, skeptics believe this beast to be a giant monitor lizard. Next is the Mantis Man, a giant bug creature out of Hackettstown, New Jersey, seen near the Musconetcong River. It is described as a 7 to 8 foot tall bug with long, thin arms, transparent skin with a brownish tint to it, and a distinct resemblance to a praying mantis. Though some believe this creature is an escaped experiment, it is much more likely that this is yet another hoax. The next giant cryptid is more so a deity than a beast, Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl is the Aztec god of life, light, and wisdom, depicted most famously as a feathered serpent. He is the creator of mankind and therefore held in very high regard. Our final cryptid in this category is the locally beloved White River Monster located in Newport, Arkansas. The lore of this creature allegedly goes as far back as the American Civil War, where it is believed the monster overturned Confederate boats. The first general description of the beast was given by a plantation owner July 1st, 1915, noting it as having gray skin and was as wide as a car and 3 cars long. This description was further expanded upon in 1937 when recreational fisherman Bramlett Bateman described it as having the skin of an elephant, 4 or 5 foot wide by 12 foot long, with the face of a catfish. The second category of creatures for this level of the iceberg is the same as the previous level, sea monsters. Our first sea monster is Bessie, one of North America's versions of Nessie that can be found in Lake Erie. Bessie is a 30 to 40 foot long snake-like creature with grayish colored skin. Its first reported sighting came in 1793, with many still being reported to this day. Currently, Huron Lagoons Marina in Ohio has a $100,000 dead or alive bounty out on Bessie. The next cryptid is not so much a creature as it is an unknown sound, the bloop. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration detected this ultra-low frequency, high-amplitude underwater sound in 1997 and have stated it's merely an ice quake. Even with this official statement, many believe the noise to be from an undiscovered marine animal. We now have our second and final Nessie cousin on this level, Champ. Champ is a beast believed to reside in Lake Champlain, with the first recorded sighting being made by French cartographer Samuel de Champlain in 1609. If you want more info on Champ, please check out my buddy Nox Archive's video on it. The final monster in this category is a cryptid first brought to light through internet forums, specifically 2channel in 2002, the Ningen. The Ningen hails from Japan and is said to be an anthropomorphic whale with pale blue skin, abnormally large arms and hands, gaping eyes, and a slit-like mouth. This creature was initially just a tall tale in Japanese forums, but would gain notoriety worldwide because of odd images captured on Google Earth and footage posted on YouTube. The Ningen has most recently been the subject of an analog horror series by Mr. Manticore, creator of the Monument Mythos and Nixonverse series, that I plan on covering upon its completion. The third category of cryptids in this level are out of this world extraterrestrials. The first is explained purely by using a singular meme. TLDR, these are aliens that allegedly came to Earth during ancient times and heavily influenced the people of that period. We move on to atmospheric beasts, which are fragile creatures that live in the Earth's atmosphere. They take many forms, but most notably jellyfish and serpents. I guess these could possibly be put in a different category because it's possible they didn't come from space, but calling them an ET just feels better to me. Off we go to Spain for a creature that only appeared during a singular event at the Talavera La Real Air Base, a Badajoz UFO creature. On November 12, 1965, soldiers Jose Maria Trejo and Juan Carrezon Lujan allegedly came in contact with and were attacked by ETs. These ETs were described as humanoid spotted beings that were 3 meters tall, made up of light points, had no hands or feet, and looked to be wearing helmets. The most iconic cryptid in this category has been seen as the most synonymous with ETs, gray aliens or Roswell Greys. These ETs were publicized the most because of the 1947 Roswell UFO incident. The final entry for this category hails from Christian County, Kentucky, the Hopkinsville Goblin. These little buggers were described as short, shadowy figures that attacked a small farmhouse August 21st, 1955. This was enough of a situation that U.S. Army soldiers arrived at the scene to investigate along with local law enforcement. The second to last category is the largest as it encompasses 50% of the beasts on this level, land beasts. Our first cryptid in this category was almost counted as an ET because of its name, but was shifted here because of its description, alien spores. These spores were orange eggs of an unknown animal found in the village of Kivalani, Alaska. They look a lot like salmon caviar to me, but city administrator Janet Mitchell described them as follows. It was found several miles inland from the freshwater Woolwich River. The orange material turned gooey and gave off a gaseous odor, but scooped up out of the ocean, the substance had no odor and was light to the touch, with the feel of baby oil. After extensive testing by multiple organizations, the spores were identified as crustacean eggs and spruce Labrador tea needle rust, March 7th, 2012. Our next cryptid hails from the Philippines, the Abamongo. This creature is described as a man-sized ape that is covered in hair and has long nails. It is said to live at the foot of volcanic Mount Kanloan and has a violent temper that causes it to attack villagers and wildlife alike. Our first UK entry on this level is a retread of the alien phantom big cats discussed in the previous level, the Beast of Exmoor. This large cat has appeared across the country since the early 2000s and is believed to have attacked multiple citizens of it. Back to South America we go with another hoax cryptid, Deloy's ape. During an expedition of the Tara River located between Colombia and Venezuela, Swiss geologist and oil tycoon Louis Francois Fernand Hector Deloys came across 2 apes of a species he wasn't familiar with. Because these apes stood upright and had no tail to be seen, after they attacked Deloy and his party and the female died from gunshot wounds, Deloy took pictures of the deceased ape. This photo was forgotten until it was found by Swiss anthropologist George Alexis Montadon and was submitted as a new species of ape. Turns out, the ape depicted in the photo wasn't a new species of ape and is a common species of spider monkey. We have a very quick one with the devil monkey cryptid from the US. Devil monkeys are baboon-like mammals with long tails, pointed ears, and massive bodies that are seen all over the country. There really isn't much else to it. The next cryptid is more so a belief that a long-extinct animal still exists, the dodo. A dodo bird is a little goober, see the provided photo, that once lived on the island of Mauritius up until the late 12th century. Many have claimed to see the dodo bird since, but all sightings can be boiled down to mistaken identity or hoax. Speaking of hoaxes, we have one much like the jackalope discussed in the previous video, the Fiji mermaid. The Fiji mermaid first entered the public zeitgeist in 1822 when an American sailor, either a sea captain or a whaler, purchased the corpse of one. Instead of it being an exotic creature, it was a mass-produced hoax from Japan, created from sewing the head and torso of a monkey on the tail of a fish. And speaking of Japan, here we segue to our next Japanese folkloric creature, the kappa. Kappas are child-sized humanoid creatures that have ape-like faces, scraggly green hair, and scaly skin that is colored some shade of green, blue, or yellow. They kinda sorta look like anthropomorphic turtle fryers. These creatures are generally said to be good-natured but mischievous and known for pranking humans. We have yet another reptilian cryptid with Lee County, South Carolina's lizardman of Scape or Swamp. This beast's lore appeared July 14th, 1988, when 17-year-old Christopher Davis flagged down a sheriff's vehicle to report that his car had been attacked. When checking the car, muddy footprints were found at the scene with scratches, teeth marks, and hair found directly on the vehicle itself. Davis described the beast as green, wet-like, about 7 foot tall, and had 3 fingers, red eyes, skin like a lizard, and snake-like scales. After this story hit mainstream media, the lizardman became South Carolina lore, with sightings being reported as recently as 2017. Our next cryptid is very much the same as the dodo bird, the mammoth. People claim to see remnants of the woolly mammoth in the wild, even though it is universally agreed upon to be extinct, making reported sightings either hoaxes or mistaken identification of other animals. The Minnesota dogman is another werewolf cryptid akin to the beast of Bray Road, which I mentioned in the previous video. Just like the name says, it's been seen all over Minnesota, but there's really not much more to this one. It's just a werewolf from Minnesota. And off to New York we go for the Montauk Monster, which is derived from the picture of a weird animal carcass. The carcass washed ashore in July 2008, which was found by local resident Jenna Hewitt and her friends. The group photographed the carcass, which then was circulated through the F-22 Raptor newspaper. Turns out, it's just a raccoon whose body decomposed in a very odd way. As an aside for the next one, I do not whatsoever agree with calling this next beast a cryptid, purely because it's as much a cryptid as a liger is. Okapi are basically hoofed animals that look like a giraffe and a zebra had a baby. Look at the provided picture to see what I mean. Ooh, we have a visitor for this next one, everybody. It seems as though me plugging his channel constantly in the last video has summoned him to my library. Take it away, Nox.
Just when I thought I was out, I get pulled back in. You cannot quit cryptids, especially when you have a friend doing an iceberg on the subject, and spent a lot of time shouting you out in the last video. Then thought, hey, do this one, Mr. I Has an Owl. Anyways, on April 17th, 1976, June and Vicky Melling claimed to see a large feathery man thingy-mabob in Monon, Cornwall, more specifically around the Tower of St. Monon and St. Stephen's Church. Tony Doc Shields investigated the claim, and one of the girls did a drawing that looks definitely like a little girl drew it. The story became related to a pamphlet called Morgwar, the Monster of Falmouth Bay, by Anthony Monon Peller. Sporadic sightings of the creature happened around the same church in the years 1978, 1979, 1989, and 1995. In 2000, allegedly there was a weird owl-like sound heard from the churchyard. Now, I doubt it was a monstrous owl looking to spread the good word of Jesus, so odds are it was an owl. A barn owl or a Eurasian eagle owl have been suggested as an explanation, though for all I know, Mothmen just wanted a holiday. Anyways, I will take my leave now. Ta-ta.
Bye, Noxie. Thank you for stopping by. Anyways, back to business. The next cryptid is the epitome of hoaxes, the Pacific Northwest tree octopus. This was literally somebody throwing an octopus on a tree, taking a picture, and spreading it online as a new species. Lame. This next cryptid is extremely well known, so I won't dwell on it very long. The phoenix is a bird from Greek mythology that is synonymous with the sun, rebirth, and immortality. When one dies, it bursts into flames and is reborn from its own ashes. Back to the States we go for our next alien big cat, the saunter. The saunter, or better known as the wampus, is a large cat with reddish-gray fur, a bald head, small eyes, abnormally long legs, and an even longer tail with 8 knots in it. This creature allegedly lives in swamps and can be identified by its high-pitched, baby-like wailing, and sightings of it can be tracked back as early as September 4th, 1890. Our next US cryptid is either going to be hysterical or nightmare fuel purely because of its most popular image, skunk ape. The skunk ape, also known as the Florida Bigfoot, is a big, stinky ape man covered in reddish-brown fur. Sightings of this creature date back to 1818, with Apalachicola residents reportedly seeing it raid food stores and stalk fishermen. Over to Maryland we go for a more interesting creature on this list, the snallygaster. This creature traces back to the 1730s immigration of Germans into the US, where it was described as a half-bird, half-reptile creature with octopus-like tentacles and a metallic beak filled with razor-sharp teeth. It would scoop up its victims into the sky and drain them of their blood. The only thing to keep it away is a 7-pointed star being painted outside of buildings. From interesting to benign we go with the next cryptid, the werewolf. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what werewolves are, so I'm not sure why this is on level 2, but for those who do not know, they are people who can turn into wolves. We close out this category with the Chinese cousin of the Bigfoot, the Yeren, and I'm probably gonna mispronounce a lot of the stuff here, so please just bear with me. Yeren inhabit the remote mountains of the Shenangjia Forestry District in Hubei Province, with sightings dating back to 340 BCE during the Tang Dynasty. These creatures are said to be much more violent than most Bigfoot offshoots, raiding villages to not only steal food, but kidnapping humans to forcefully, breed. The final category encapsulates all cryptids that do not fit in any of the other categories, the first being one I'm relatively familiar with, doppelgangers. Doppelgangers are beings completely identical to another human in every way except for on a biological level. Stories of these beings trace back to ancient Egyptian mythology with a spirit double called Ka, but they were not associated with the paranormal until it was defined as an apparition of a person living in Francis Gross's 1787 Provincial Glossary. Next, we talk about ghosts, which I don't totally think are necessarily cryptids. Ghosts are essentially the spirit of the dead that remain in the land of the living for a myriad of reasons. On a similar train of thought with death, we have ghouls. Ghouls are demons from pre-Islamic Arabic lore that haunt graveyards and lure humans to their lair to eat them. Remaining with Arabic creatures, we now talk about Ifrit. Ifrit, from what I understand, are enormous winged creatures that live in a similar manner to jinn. They are seen as strong and rebellious, but not much else is distinguishable from other Arabic creatures. We now shift to something I could have placed in the ET category as it's highly associated with ETs, but decided not to because it didn't really fit in my mind, Indrid Cold. Also known as the Grinning Smiling Man, Indrid Cold is a humanoid creature standing at over 6 feet tall with widely spaced and beady eyes, a dark complexion, a perpetual smile, and is always wearing a reflective green suit. His first reported sighting comes from 2 New Jersey boys, Martin Munov and James Yikitis, October 16th, 1966, where he chased them away from where they have been chatting. Some say he's an alien because of the ET phenomena around each of his appearances, but I don't totally agree with that. Our next cryptid is one I would love to cover at some point in a fleshed out video, the man-eating plant. This plant beast has taken many forms across many cultures, but all describe it as a plant or tree that kills and eats humans or large animals. The first iteration of this came to the public zeitgeist April 26, 1874, with Edmund Spencer's letter to the New York World about a carnivorous tree in Madagascar. Though this case has long been determined to be a hoax, other iterations like the Yetaveo in 1889 and the vampire vine in 1891 have permeated media to this day. Our second to last cryptid is an extremely well-known trickster of English origin, Spring-Heeled Jack. This little devil first appeared in 1837, was described as having fiery red eyes, clawed hands, and a devilish appearance. Jack was, by multiple reports, able to jump incredible heights to assault his victims, all of which were young women. Reports of Jack died off for the most part after the 19th century came to the close. The final cryptid of this category and this level of the iceberg is one seen across all continents in one form or another, wanderlights. Wanderlights are disembodied lights that appear to travelers in swamps and graveyards at night. Many believe these lights are spirits attempting to make contact with those in the living world. And with that, we've finished level 2 of the Cryptid Iceberg. We are almost halfway through the iceberg itself, and I cannot wait to delve deeper. If you would like to see me do dedicated videos for any of these cryptids, please let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, sweet nightmares. I wanted to take this time to thank my Patreons and channel members. Your support is so greatly appreciated, and I can't thank you enough. If you'd like to become a Patreon, there is a link in the description below, and if you'd like to become a channel member, just go ahead and click that join button and join the Truth Sleuths and Horror Hounds. All channel members and Patreons receive 24-hour access to videos prior to their public release and exclusive updates on my progress. After a certain tier, you can request that I do a certain topic or movie review, or you can even request that I do a game live stream, whichever works for you. At the highest tier, you not only get to choose the topic in which I cover, you get to either co-host the stream or the video that I do that covers said topic, no matter if it's one or multiple. Of course, this is not obligatory. If you want to support the channel, I greatly appreciate it, and once again, thank you so much.